Hello everyone, my name is Roya and this is my June wrap-up part 2. I'm actually filming this a little bit early. There's still a whole week left of June, but I've read so many books this month already that I'm just like, you know what, whatever. So basically the first half of this month that I already filmed a wrap-up for, I will leave a link to it down below. I had a fantastic reading month, but the latter half of the month was significantly less good. I mean, half of the books I read were still really, really good, but the other half were just kind of a letdown. So anyway, the first book I want to talk to you guys about today is actually a DNF, and that is The Singer's Crown. So a DNF is a book I did not finish, if you're not familiar with that. And this book is about a boy who was a prince, but then his uncle kind of killed his entire family and sent him to like some kind of convent type thing to be a singer who is a eunuch so that he can still sing really high and all that stuff. So basically, this sounded like such a good premise and everything, but the thing that made me not enjoy this book at all, was just the fact that the main character does remember that he was a prince and everything, and he does remember that his uncle, like, killed his family and whatnot, but he doesn't actually care. He has, like, no interest in, like he has no resentment towards his uncle. He just kind of, in passing, just kind of as an afterthought thing, kind of just thinks, like, oh, that's kind of weird that, you know, like, he still remembers, but he doesn't care. And then the characters all kind of just had no personalities, and it just gave me no reason to actually, like, care about anything that happened. So once I got to about halfway through this book, I kind of thought it's probably not going to get any better, and honestly, the writing wasn't really the best either, so I kind of was like, whatever. The next book I read is the only other one in this wrap-up that is a backlist title and not a new release, because I got so many new releases in May. So anyway, so this is Lord of Chaos by Robert Jordan. Obviously, by the time this video goes up, we will have had our live show for this read-along on Jade's channel already, so, so you will probably be able to just see what we thought about it, but so I did really enjoy this book. I thought that the witty character banter was very on point. There were a lot of things that are, like, really awesome that happened in this. There were definitely some things that I just did not see coming at all, and I have no idea, like, I had no clue. But the first half was, like, really dragged a lot, but the second half was just really good. So anyway, I think this is probably among my favorites of this series so far, and I can't wait to read. We're almost halfway through, so I can't wait to read the rest of the series. The next book I'm going to talk about is a new release that I got at Book Expo, and it was my, like, number 3 arc that I was really excited to get at Book Expo, and sadly it was a huge letdown. So that is The Boneless Mercies, and I was really looking forward to this book all year. It is basically, a retelling of Beowulf that follows a band of 4 warrior women who, they actually go around mercifully killing, like, the sick and the old before they have to, like, go through a horrible death. But then they're kind of sick of that and they want glory, and so they go to defeat this monster. And pretty much I just felt like, even though the premise sounded so good, the execution was just not there. It was very underwhelming. The characters had very little distinct personalities, so we got very little reason to care about the story and about what happens to them and all of that. I also thought that the world building was not all there either, and it's basically based around Norse culture, only every, like, word that's unique to Norse whatever is the same, has the name changed to something that's, like, 1 letter different, like Oben instead of Odin, and Holhalla instead of Valhalla, and whatnot, like, and that just did not work for me. So there were just a lot of things that did not work for me about this book. It was mostly filler. There was, like, more filler than actual plot. So I'm gonna put this up for trade on my Twitter and hope that somebody who will actually enjoy this book more than I did gets to read it. So Anyway, that's my thoughts. Next, I'm going to talk about another new release that I got at Y'all West that I was also a little bit let down by, and that is Sweet Black Waves, and this is a retelling of Tristan and Isolde, basically from the point of view of Isolde's handmaiden slash cousin slash best friend Branwen, and in this retelling, Branwen is the one who actually falls in love with Tristan and saves his life and all of that. So I did like the sort of medieval vibe, and I thought it was very well researched, and I thought that, because I definitely really love to read settings that are very true to kind of medieval times, and just the culture surrounding that, but I felt like the plot like by itself just dragged a lot. I thought that a lot of the characters kind of were just meh, and were given very little motivation for the stuff that they did. I did not buy the romance at all. I didn't feel like there was any reason to care about the romance. So I kept waiting the whole time. I was like, okay, any minute now, Tristan's gonna fall in love with Isolde instead and leave her heartbroken, and then the real plot begins. But then that happened at the end, and that book ended. So I was like, okay, well, I was really hoping for like something for that to happen like in the middle, and so that we could see her being heartbroken and having the real plot begin where she has to do stuff. But no, it just didn't happen. So now we're going to get into the two new releases that I got that were actually really awesome and that I really loved. So the first one is Grayson Fury, and I got this at Y'all West, and I absolutely loved this book. I thought it was incredible. It is basically the YA response to The Handmaid's Tale, kind of, in that women have no rights in this world, and there are very few things that they can do. They aren't allowed to like learn how to read or anything. They basically have to sit there and look pretty, and basically the king and the prince, they're not really called that in this book, but basically that's their role, the king and the prince, instead of having like a wife or anything, they just have a bunch of pretty ladies who just sit there and look pretty, and then like, yeah, so that's pretty much what women do in this world. And it is also the same as The Handmaid's Tale in that it wasn't that long ago that the world was different and history just kind of got erased. So I thought that was really fascinating. So anyway, this follows two sisters named Serena and Nomi, and Serena has been pretty much prepared her whole life to become a Grace, which is one of the pretty ladies that the king or the prince has. And so she has done all this stuff to like practice playing the harp and learning how to dance. And Nomi has spent the whole time pretty much figuring out how to be her handmaiden so that she can go with her and they can stick together, all of that. So finally the day comes when Serena is going to become a Grace and Nomi goes as her handmaiden, and Nomi gets chosen to be a Grace instead. So, and then as if that weren't bad enough, because Nomi really had no interest in being a Grace at all, and she has no idea how to do any of the stuff, Serena actually gets arrested for something that she didn't really do, and she winds up in jail. And the jail place actually seems like the coolest place. Like, I would so much rather get arrested and go there if I lived in this world. And that kind of speaks to how messed up the society is in this book, that the jail is, like, the preferable place to be. Because Serena gets to, like, fight other women and, like, basically kill or be killed and whatnot, and she's not very happy about that, but I think that sounds so much cooler than what Nomi has to do in being a Grace and all of that. So it's kind of a messed up world that way, and it's really weird, but kind of just there are just a lot of really creative aspects to this book, and I thought it was so interesting, and it's very feminist as well, and how, like, it gives the message that men are afraid of women, and that's why they, like, oppressed women, and et cetera, et cetera. And there are so many twists that were just so not predictable at all. You just don't know what is going on in this entire book, and I thought it was fantastic. Finally, the other new release that I read this month, it is one that I got at Book Expo. That is We Sold Our Souls by Grady Hendrix, and this is about a girl named Chris who used to be a guitar player in a heavy metal band, but But then the singer kind of just like ditched his bandmates and went off to do his own thing and become famous. And Chris is just kind of, she wasn't able to play music anymore because of like a contract, so she kind of just is working at a hotel and whatnot, and then she finds out that the singer who left her and the rest of her bandmates in the dirt kind of went on to be very famous because he sold their souls, and he's continually selling other people's souls. And this whole book is very creepy. And also it's not YA, just so you know. I know like a lot of the new releases that I'm showing you are YA, but this is not. This is definitely for adults, and it's very, very creepy. So if you are a YA reader and all that stuff, don't be like thrown off by that. Yeah, so pretty much the entire time you don't really know what the heck is going on. There are parts where you kind of wonder if she actually is crazy and none of this is happening, but at the same time you know that that's not the case. I have been staying away from books about bands for pretty much the entire year. So I'm very glad that the book that I decided to kind of break that ban on books about bands with was this one. For so many reasons, but I still think I'm not ready to keep reading about bands, so it's gonna be a while before I read any other books about bands, but I'm definitely glad that I read this. The only things that I thought were kind of weird were sort of some of the basic, like, music things that sort of broke the fourth wall for me, that sort of made me go, wait, what? And it took me out of the story a little bit. Things like the fact that she had only ever owned one guitar besides like the first one that was a crappy one that she learned with. And so the thing is, no professional guitar player has just one guitar. Like, you always have a backup one, because if you break a string, you can just grab that one or have your guitar tech do it, whatever. So yeah, there's just no way. Like, I thought it was just really weird that she only had one guitar ever, and I thought that was kind of just impossible. And then also there is a part where, because it says that she stopped playing at all for like 6 years, like she didn't even pick up a guitar, all that stuff. So it very much gives you the idea that she really did not know how to play anymore. And yet there's a part at the end, of course, where she plays really well on stage with people. And I'm like, how did that happen if she just never played, like, for years? Like a decade, at least. Like, it just seemed very weird to me. Aside from that, I really liked this book. It was so weird. I don't even know how to describe it at all. So those are the books that I read in the latter half of June. Let me know if you've read any of these, have thoughts on them, etc., etc. And I will see you very soon with a new video. Bye!